All right, so the Sharks made a few signings here in free agency, and also two guys left the team, and so I'm going to talk about that now. Now, first, the Sharks signed goalie Aaron Dell, former Shark from before. He was primarily the backup to Martin Jones, and then spent a couple seasons on the East Coast. He was with the Buffalo Sabres most recently. He's 33 years old and had a pretty awful season last year. He only won one game out of his 10 appearances, with a 4.03 goals against average and 8.93 save percentage. Not very promising. I mean, I think, his save percentage isn't horrible. I think that probably tells more than his record, but at the same time, you have to question that. Now, I know I mentioned two guys left. Zach Sawchenko left, and he's also a goalie. And so I'll talk more about him in a moment. But my question is, why let Sawchenko leave and not, keep him? And then why do you replace him with Aaron Dell, essentially? I mean, I think the Sharks have too many goalies to begin with. I mean, we have Reimer, Hill, Kokkonen. Those are our top three. And then from there, it's guys that are in the AHL. And I'm sure that's where Aaron Dell is going to spend most of his time, because he's, pretty bad. He wasn't good when we had him the first time. And so I think that's a questionable choice. And he was really with the Sharks most of his career anyways. He was always either in the AHL or backup or third string, because the Sharks had good goalies at times. And so, yeah. Next, the Sharks signed Andrew Agazino. And, I think this is a depth signing. He only played one game last year. In his career, only 47 games played. So he hasn't really, played much. For being honest, the most games he's played in the season is 22, despite being in the league for coming up on 8 years. So it's, definitely an interesting player, but a guy that just really hasn't shown his potential. Agazino has most recently played for the Ottawa Senators, but he has played for Colorado. It's a depth signing. I mean, he only has 2 career goals in 8 years, so that's pretty not a great thing to have, if I'm being honest here. But yeah, I mean, it's a depth signing for sure. And, it's a smaller contract as well. Most of these are small contracts. It's a depth forward. He's 31, undrafted. And so, yeah, I mean, he's been good in the AHL from what I've heard, but not really a good player that'll probably spend time in the lineup. Next, we have CJ Seuss. And this guy came from Winnipeg. He's a younger guy. He's only been in the league for about 2 years. Actually, I think he's been in for 3, but he didn't really play much. And so, yeah, he came from the Jets, like I said. No career goals, only 7 career games played, a lot of untapped potential. I don't really think this is a very, beneficial signing either. It's depth. And so it's going to be a 1-year deal, and we'll see what happens with him. I don't know much about him, but, those 3 signings I just talked about are not really going to help our team much, I don't think. I think this is, the type of thing that's just the Sharks are getting depth, which they need, don't get me wrong, but it's not guys that are going to change the team by any means to a great extent. Now, the one guy that left that I was sort of sad to see go was Rudolph Balcers. Balcers, he obviously spent time with Ottawa. He was with the Sharks as well prior to Ottawa, and then he came back for 2 seasons, this season and the season before that. And I like the guy. I mean, he was a pretty good player last season. He actually did pretty good. He had 11 goals, 12 assists. And I mean, that's not superstar numbers, but, to think that he, obviously was kind of put in that role kind of at an impromptu time. He came on the team right before the season started in that shortened season, and he did pretty good. And I don't fault the guy. He's going to be joining the Florida Panthers. He has 153 career NHL games, so he's kind of a veteran, and he had his best season of his career last year. Next, and I already touched on this guy, so I won't make it too long, but Zach Sawchenko. He was a goalie who spent most of his time in the AHL for the Sharks, although he did get some time at the San Jose Sharks level. He's a younger guy. I mean, he's 24. He only played 7 games. He had a .901 save percentage. His goals against average wasn't great, sitting at 3.35, but he only played a couple of games. He was 1-2-1 with the Sharks in his 7 games played. I mean, I think he's better than Dell, so I think this would have been fine to keep, but at the same time, the Sharks do have a lot of goalies. It's a small contract he's signing with the Carolina Hurricanes, 1 year, $750,000, and it's even lower at the AHL level, so you have to think he's probably going to spend a lot of time there, kind of like what he did with the Sharks. So yeah, guys, those are the Sharks free agency updates. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys later, and yeah, go Sharks.